Hello everyone. This is Imtiaz Begum, Assistant Professor, Department of Commerce and Management, Government First Grade College, Chikbalapur. Today we will discuss session 28 of Employee Welfare and Social Security of 5th semester BBA, Bangalore North University. So under that we will discuss social security measures for industrial employees. So, in the previous class, we had discussed about the development of social security in India. Learning objective of the chapter, the student will be able to explain the measures available for industrial employees. That is, different types of measures or provisions that have been provided to the employees in the organization. Session outcome, the student will be able to explain the measures available for industrial employees. So, the meaning of social security. Social security is the protection which society provides for its member through series of public measures against the economic and social distress resulting from sickness, maternity, employment injury, invalidity, old age, and death. It is been defined by Morstack that Social Security is a program of protection provided by society against those contingencies of life, such as sickness, unemployment, old age, industrial accidents, against which the individual cannot be expected to protect himself and his family by his own ability of foresightedness. So, social security measures for industrial employees includes Workmen's Compensation Act 1923. So, the Workmen Compensation Act 1923 aims to provide workmen and their dependents some relief in case of accidents arising out of and in course of employment and causing either death or disablement of workmen. The Act imposes statutory liability upon employer to provide payment to employees when they suffer from physical disabilities and diseases during the course of employment. Workmen's Compensation Act 1923 is extended to the whole of India. It came into force for the first day of July 1924. The act was passed in 1923, but it came into existence in 1924. The main provision of the act is under the Act, the state government are empowered to appoint commissioner for workmen's compensation for settlement of dispute claims, disposal of cases of injuries involving death, revision of periodical payments. Subsection 3 of Section 2 of the Act empowers the state government to extend the scope of the Act to any class of person whose occupation are in considered hazardous or dangerous after giving 3 months notice to be published in official gazette. Similarly, under Section 3, Subsection 3 of the Act, the state governments are also empowered to add any other diseases to the list mentioned in Part A and B of the Schedule 2, and the central government in the case of employment specified in Part C of Schedule 3 of the Act. Next measure we have is Employee State Insurance Act 1948. The ESI Act is provided to the workers' medical relief, sickness, and cash benefits, maternity benefits to workers. It is a legislation which aims at bringing about social and economic justice to the labor class of the country. The act is to provide certain benefits on an all India basic after taking contribution from all the employees. Scope of the act. This act is applicable to all workers who are engaged directly or indirectly in factories, plantation, transport undertaking, construction works, railways, shipping, and other hazardous occupations and employment. The Act empowers the state government to apply the Act by a notification in the official gazette to any class of persons whose occupation is considered dangerous. Employee State Insurance Fund, which is being collected both from employee and employer, are used for the purpose of providing benefits to employees such as sickness benefit, disabled benefit may be temporary or permanent, providing maternity benefit, dependents benefits, medical benefits, or funeral benefits. Next we have is Maternity Act of 1961. It is applicable to every factory or establishment in which 10 or more persons are or were employed on any day of the preceding 12 months. And the eligibility of maternity benefit. The women worker has to work for 80 days in a preceding 12 months immediately preceding the date of her expected delivery. Eligible for 12 weeks maternity benefit, of which not more than 6 weeks shall precede the date of her expected delivery. Maternity benefit is paid at the rate of average daily wages for the period of her actual absence. The average daily wage means the average of women's wage payable to her from the day on which she has worked during the period of 3 calendar months, immediately preceding the date from which she absents herself. And the wage includes all remuneration, including cash allowances, DA, HRA, incentive, bonus, and the money value of any concessional value of food grains supplied. But it does not include any bonus other than incentive, bonus, overtime, gratuity, PF, etc. No employer shall knowingly employ a woman in an establishment during the 6 weeks immediately following the date of the delivery, miscarriage, or medical termination of pregnancy. No women shall work in any establishment during the 6 weeks immediately following delivery or miscarriage. So, other provision of the Act includes when the woman dies during the period, maternity benefits shall be payable only for those days up to and including the day of her death. Where a woman has delivered a child and dies during her delivery or during the period immediately following the date of delivery for which she is entitled for the benefit leaving behind in either case the child, the employer shall be liable for the maternity benefit for that entire period. But if the child also dies during the said period, then for the day up to and including the date of the death of the child. 6 weeks leaves with wages for tuberculosis and 2 weeks immediately following the day of tuberculosis. 1 month leave with wage at the rate of maternity benefit for 1 month for miscarriage, MTP or tuberculosis operation. Nursing break 2 times in the course of daily work till the child attains 15 months. Prohibition from dismissal for absence during pregnancy. However, for misconducts, forfeiting of maternity benefits and medical bonus permissible. Next measure we have is Employee Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provision 1952. It is a compulsory contribution fund for the future of the employee. After his retirement or for his dependents in case of his early death. The welfare state like India, the responsibility lies up to the states to provide for some legislation whereby the workers working in the factory or other establishment may get some financial assistance in old age. Such old age benefits are a common features in industrial advanced country. Due to various difficulties, particularly financial and administrative, the state could not formulate a specific law which could provide some measures of financial security to Indian workers in old age or their families or dependents after death. Finally, a way out was found out and contributory PF scheme was conceived in which both the employee and the employer contribute and the funds so raised could be used to help the workers in old age. Then the other provisions of Provident Fund Act 1952, Employee Provident Fund Scheme. It is a central government scheme for providing superannuation pension, retirement pension, or permanent total disablement pension, widow or widow's pension, children pension, orphan pension, so on. The next scheme we have is Employee Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme section. It was introduced by Provident Fund Act Amendment 1976. It is a scheme for the purpose of providing life insurance benefits to the employee. The scheme shall apply to any establishment on which PF Act is applicable. Next we have is Gratuity Act 1972. It is also one of the measure provided by the organization or industry wherein a gratuity is a lump sum payment made by an employer to an employee as a retirement benefit on the completion of service. It enables the employee to meet the new situation, which means a reduction of earning or even total stoppage of earning. The payment of gratuity provides a retirement benefits to the workman for long and meritorious service. It acts as a kind of retirement benefit on his superannuation, retirement, or death and disablement. Next measure we have is Industrial Dispute Act. An act to make provision for the investigation and settlement of industrial disputes and for certain other purposes. The objective of Industrial Dispute Act is to secure industrial peace and harmony by providing mechanism and procedure for investigation and settlement of industrial dispute, conciliation, arbitration, and adjudication, which is provided under the statute. The main and ultimate objective of this act is maintenance of peaceful work culture in the industry in India, which is clearly provided under the statement of objects and reason of statute. The act also lays down the provision for payment of compensation to workmen on account of closure or layoff or retrenchment, the procedure for prior permission of appropriate government for laying off or retrenching the workers or closing down industrial establishment, and to provide unfair labor practices on the part of employer or on trade unions on workers. So few questions I have framed. The payment of gratuity is for his annuation, superannuation, on his retirement, or on his death or disablement due to accidents or disease. So the answer is all the above. Workmen Compensation Act is extended to the whole of India and it was implemented on 1st July 1924. The answer is both A and B. Industrial Dispute Act was framed or passed in 1947. ESI fund provides sickness benefit, disabled benefit, maternity benefit, so on. So the answer is all the above. Provident Fund 1952 includes Employee Provident Fund Scheme and Employee Deposit Linked Insurance Scheme section. So these are some of the measures that been taken, social security measures that have been taken by the industries. Thank
स्टॉप करो, तो मुझे कन्वर्ट नहीं होती सो